All right, so apparently I waited too long. I started the microphone and I was watching the storm trying to decide when to go live, and I waited too long and it essentially went to sleep. So hopefully I'll stop starting these with no audio because that's really getting old. But just to start over, good evening, everybody. Kevin Crouch here with South Metro Weather, and we've been waiting for this to unfold, and unfortunately, it could be a long night. We have this round of storms coming in tonight, and then early tomorrow morning, another round, and I'm not really sure what's going to happen in between there, how much reprieve we're going to get, mostly how much sleep I'm going to get. We are stocked to the brim with coffee, and so I'm going to do what I need to get through the night, but we will continue to watch these storms, and I'm going to continue to do the work necessary. And I want to show you what we have going on right now. For our particular area, we have this storm in northern Bosque County, affecting parts of Johnson County and moving into Hill County here very soon. And we've been watching and discussing this storm because you see that hook right there that has been maintaining itself. Now, I will say that on velocity, the inbound, outbound winds have not been stable. It's been trying. It really, really wants to rotate, but there's been some turbulence there that it's not really as organized as it otherwise could be, at least not from what we're seeing. Sometimes it can be really, really tough to see what's on velocity, especially if you're looking through the core of the storm. Sometimes it has a hard time seeing all of that. So it really just depends. And yes, to answer the question there, I am stocked on Dr. Pepper. So if we get any hailstones, maybe we can put some hail in there. We'll see what we can do. But this storm particularly, and yeah, so you're seeing there, it looks like a little less organized. But yeah, I mean, this storm is the strongest one in our area. But you see look at all this blow off from this storm, and that's one way you can see the shear, where you can see the storm is moving this direction, but you can see all of this energy blowing off to the north. So that's where you can see the different directions of winds that are blowing a different direction, different levels of the atmosphere, I should say. And so that has blown some of this up into Johnson County. I'm hearing that there's already thunder rumbling in Midlothian there. So let's zoom this out a little bit, and what's fun is that you see this line. Well, earlier today, we were looking at the high resolution model, and I'm pretty sure we saw a little line of storms. I don't know if it was specifically here, but it showed a little line of storms like that. So HR model might have just won the day, but we do have, and let me move it a little higher up here, we do have this line of little supercell thunderstorms. And I mean, it's nothing really impressive at this point, but we'll watch and see what happens. The thing is, you get further, you really get closer to Ellis Hill and Navarro counties. A lot of that air has not really been worked over very much today. We haven't seen many storms. And so in my mind, there's some untapped instability there. Now, granted, the severe weather risk is higher as you go west. So a few different factors that we're watching here. And right now, the only severe warnings anywhere in our area are Fort Worth and Dallas. So Tarrant and Dallas counties there, flash flood warnings ongoing. And for those areas, it's going to be mostly urban flooding. They're not rural like we are, so it's mostly concrete up there. But that is an issue there where they've had a lot of heavy rain. And we could be looking at flooding issues. If these storms train, then we could end up seeing some flooding issues where they're getting downpour after downpour after downpour after downpour. So we will be watching all of this, and the severe thunderstorm watch has not yet been extended to our area. And if we go even further out than that, there are some things to talk about. Let's actually, no, I don't want to do that. Let's go over to Dyess Air Force Base, check that radar. Farther to the west, excuse me, there is this storm south of Vernon headed towards the Wichita Falls area, and then a little bit of a tail there, and maybe a storm closer to the Snyder area. So that is all moving off to the east and northeast as well. And of course, here's all the convection we're watching for our particular area. So a few things going on, not a whole lot at the moment. And yes, this is billed, excuse me, of course, as severe weather coverage. But we are definitely looking at a situation where we're not seeing severe weather yet. I apologize. I don't know what's going on with my voice, and I'm just getting started. So not sure what's happening there, but we'll have to get that fixed before we get too much deeper into this. But if we put this into motion, you can see this storm moving pretty well due east. So that's going to be heading into Hamilton area, that one as well. This storm looks like that will be following the other one. So we'll keep an eye on all of these, of course, as we continue to go through the night. And if this is all we see for tonight, that would be a good thing. That would be a plus for sure, because we do, again, have that enhanced, not an enhanced risk, but that increased tornado risk that was pushed to our west. Now, what I want to check here, just briefly off screen, is there was an update to the severe risk, and yeah, so they actually got rid of that increased, and my voice is clipping really badly. Let me see if I can adjust that, because I'm seeing that I'm way in the red here. Hopefully that's better. But yeah, they have gotten rid of that brown, that 5% tornado risk west of us. So it looks like the tornado threat has gone down per the Storm Prediction Center in the latest map that they put together. And yeah, Nathan, so yes, it's just the 2% now, which is really standard. So looks like the tornado risk has gone down, and this particular storm definitely less organized. So that flash flood warning was allowed to expire. I believe Erath County is under a flood advisory at this point, which does make sense because they've had quite a bit of heavy rain there as well. So we just have this complex, this kind of train of storms here, and so far they have behaved themselves. Now, like I say, there's plenty of rain to be had through Johnson County up into Tarrant and Dallas counties, moving into Ellis County here pretty soon. And this, excuse me, this storm moving into Northern Hill County, definitely not as aggressive as it was just a few minutes ago. Probably had some small hail from that, but we're not looking at a whole lot. And I'm hoping that maybe I can actually get a little bit of rest before tomorrow's storms come in. So let's take a look together, since things are relatively relaxed. And thank you, LaDonna, for your donation through the Venmo. You said keeping Honey Hill Ranch folks safe. So I appreciate that. I always love that I can help these organizations and folks stay safe. So that's definitely a blessing to me. Of course, the donations to the Venmo and the Cash App are always appreciated. That always helps. This is a business where I'm able to support my family, but it's always going to be tight at times. So especially with inflation, one of the things that's crazy is that this business, I've become more and more successful. It's almost like inflation grew at the same rate. So it's like, come on, guys. So just craziness. But and I don't want to start a whole conversation, and trust me, if it gets crazy in the comments, we're not going to put up with that, because we don't have time for division here tonight. We got work to do. So here's the new severe weather risk that we're looking at. This is the slight risk by the Storm Prediction Center. So accounting for those storms that are coming in, and I think this is fair. I mean, I think that this works. So we will also pull up that tornado risk we were mentioning so that we can visualize that. So this is really where so this was where the 5%, the heightened tornado risk was. That has now been downgraded to where we still have this fairly low tornado risk here. it's possible. At that point, this is almost, you put a risk there because there's a remote possibility, but this is a pretty low probability here. So not really too concerned about that. Now, let's look at some models, and I will say that models have been so-so with how they've handled this. It's been, since this morning, really, models have been a little unsure of what to do with all of this. Earlier this morning, the models weren't even picking up a lot of the convection that we were seeing. So it's been tough. It's been very tough. So let's take a look at this. And so looking at 10 o'clock tonight, so 10 o'clock, still showing some of this convection moving through. Kind of get this moved over a little bit. And then it looks like by 1 a.m., still some of this moving through, but maybe not as intense. And then what I want to see is, let's zoom this out. Okay, so this has, about 4 a.m. has the next round, possibly some convection ahead of it, but the next round really blowing up around the Brownwood area right around 4 a.m. And I think that's pretty well consistent with where things have gone. This is 7 a.m. So tomorrow morning's round moving through our area, particularly the northern parts of our area, right as we're taking the kids to school, unfortunately. Trust me, I have to take my son to school, or at that point my wife may have to be the one to do that. But either way, we have to, I'm going through the same thing. So yeah, I'm not happy to see that. Not happy at all. But the good news is, well, that's not necessary. 10 a.m., most of this is out of here. Let's 10 a.m., let's be done with it so I can go sleep. All right? Let's not. That's personal. Okay? That's personal. Let's just not. That should be drier air moving in. What is that? That's Friday the 8th? 8 p.m. No. No. See, now you get to see what it sounds like in my office when I'm running these models and you're not watching. That's uncalled. Matt, what is that? Can we do something about that? Look at that. Right down 35. What is that? That ain't right. That's supposed to be dry air. Okay, Matt's walking off now. Let's do a little bit of modelology here. I think I just coined it. Is that mine? Should we copyright that? Modelology. So the NAM model has not agreed with the HR model much at all. And you can see here it has a system way down in the hill country, and then just that's a scientific term. But look at that. It hits 35 and just completely crashes. Okay, well, and then, okay, now see, 4 o'clock tomorrow evening. Even the NAM model has it. What is it picking up here? That's like wraparound. Well, no, because it's not. Okay. Now we got to really look into this, because that's supposed to be dry air by that point. Because we have a Pacific front and we have a dry line to our west that'll be moving through on Friday. Should be driving all of this out. Okay, so that's what so it's showing the cold front coming in later in the day. But even at that, okay, I guess, so it's counting on basically almost a triple point forming. So that's.
He's very mad.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll have a visitor on the stream here, but that looks like my intention in all of this. And by the way, this is Jensen if you've never met him. My intention here was to show what we're looking at tonight, so we'll kind of refocus back to that. We're looking at one round of showers and thunderstorms moving through, and that's what we've seen. And then we will have a second round tomorrow morning, again, right when it's time to take the kids to school, right when it's the most annoying possible. Is when we'll have those storms coming in. So let me, yep, the weather baby is here. Let me get him in here. So what do you think, dude? He's always really confused when he sees the green screen and the monitor. Because in his brain, he's going, this doesn't make any sense. I know. And he keeps, so he'll look at the screen and the green screen and the monitor, and very confused. Why are you sticky? You're something sticky on your leg. Why are you being all dirty?
Are you happy that you've gotten to see Daddy now?
Why are you being all messy?
Like he walked by your office door and hit it.
Apparently he's breaking in, and there's a cat. So you remember there was one stream I did very early one morning, or very late one night, and this guy didn't want to sleep, and then the cat was in here, and we're just gonna replay that here, I guess. But the good news is that the storms that are coming through right now, you can see this one moving into Rio Vista and Blum, and back to Heiko, over towards Gustine. Are you going to do Wheels on the Bus for us? Oh, you're just having fun watching yourself. That's what it is. What we need to do is just bring you in here with a green shirt on sometime. See, you have to use the weather. You have to use the meteorological terminology, though. Yeah. See, he's watching himself do Wheels on the Bus. The wheels on the bus go round and round. Oh, now you're embarrassed. Okay. Well, now he's bashful. We almost had a performance on our hands, but he didn't want to do it. And Courtney, when I tell you, he doesn't watch Miss Rachel. He lives Miss Rachel. That's where this came from. That's where the wheels on the bus go round and round came from. The doors on the bus go open and shut. Can you do it? Open and shut. Open and shut. The doors on the bus go open and shut all through the town. He won't do it. But anyway, yes, he absolutely watches Miss Rachel. That's where this is coming from. But he's just having fun watching. Look at this. He's just watching himself. This has him completely entertained. So now he's going to be in here all the time when we're live. So Courtney, 20 months old. This one is 23 months old. He will be 2 years old on April 23rd. So almost 2 years old here. But yeah, no, he's just going to sit here and watch himself in the monitor. So I'll keep talking. So this storm near Blum, don't hit the microphone, buddy. The storm near Blum definitely appears to be weakening. We're not quite seeing the intensity that we did before. But I will say that the storm, it's a little farther away from the radar. Hard to kind of tell. But the storm near Guthrie looks like it could be intensifying. And so many of these storms, we've talked about this many times, where they'll cycle up and then cycle down, and they kind of go back and forth and do that sort of thing. So we could be seeing a lot of just up and down and back and forth from these storms. So when you see one echo of one, don't be too surprised if it changes quickly and kind of goes back and forth. The wheels on the bus go round and round. All through the town. Remember? All through the town. You don't want to do it? Don't mess with the microphone.
Are we doing this?
Yeah, we're doing this. Uh-huh. Yeah. What you think? It's almost your bedtime. The wheels on the bus go round and round. But as soon as I start singing, you stop. You got to do it with the song. Okay. Well, I guess I'll a couple of things. No, we're not really looking at any kind of tornado threat right now, MGR over on YouTube. We're not looking at a tornado threat at the moment. We did have one storm that we were watching some rotation. Let me kind of get this to where you can see it. I'm out of the way. But we did have a storm that we were watching, possibly for some rotation, but it didn't hold together. And so it tried. It really, really tried. But it didn't hold the rotation together. So I'm not allowed to sing, but you can sing. All through the town. Yeah. All right, so Matt's called my attention
It's
to
a
Blum,
route.
and
It's a
we've got
It's a route. That's
what? Well,
where that's.
so let's do this actually. So we do a side-by-side comparison. Hopefully, if it'll work. That's not how that's supposed to look. Okay. So, okay, so he brought my attention to this,
It's the.
and you're seeing that this red here. Now, what's interesting about that? Let me get this double view off, and just look at the circulate, or look at the. So this is what we've been watching, and this is kind of cycled on and off. And to be honest with you, I'm not terribly sure what we're watching here. You see this curvature, and you're doing the horn on the bus now? And so we're watching this red area, and that's winds moving away from the radar. So as we've watched that, we saw signs of rotation at one point. Looks like we're starting to see winds increase again. I'm not sure if it's trying to rotate again, or if possibly we're looking at some kind of, I don't know, maybe don't mess with the microphone, maybe a downburst of some sort. We'll have to keep watching it, and this is where trends really come into play. You kind of have to watch each update as you're watching the radar, and we should get an update here probably in the next few minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and let Jensen go with Mama, and because we might have
Had enough time with Daddy. Say night night.
He's got a sticky spot on his leg if you want to look at that. I don't know what's going on there. All right, so we're going to be watching this, and it's still curved. So we'll keep an eye on that. It's possible, I guess, that there could be inflow, and that could be some kind of an outflow, but we'll keep an eye on that. It's still not grabbing my attention as rotating, and well, okay. There you go. There you have what we would normally look at as, inflow causing that notch, and then maybe some winds here. But it's just, I'm not seeing that on velocity here. We flip back, and presumably, yeah, that could be. But we'll keep an eye on this. What I really need to see is reciprocity from inflow. I need to see more of a couplet here. It's not enough just for one of these colors. Sometimes it is, but I want to see that balance. I want to see the inflow along with the outflow. So I want to see some of this green start to pick up before I really look into. Start getting too concerned about possible rotation, but looks like that's what we're seeing on velocity. So we'll see that for sure. I'm being told that I have to charge my earpiece here, so Matt, I may not have you in my ear very long. And let's see here. Let me check something else to see if there's any other conversation going on. Okay. All right. So, yeah, we're going to keep an eye on this storm. And this is northern Hill County. Here's Whitney, Blum, Covington, Itasca, just to kind of get you oriented on where we're talking. Of course, here's Cleburne, southern Johnson County. So we'll keep an eye on this. The storm is not it's not really that intense right now. So it's had some supercell properties. I'm not really seeing any kind of a hail core with this, and I'm thinking if we have an updraft strong enough to give us that kind of rotation, that we would probably be looking at. We would more than likely be looking at a hail core too, because the same updraft that would cause the rotation would cause that hail size to go up. And Nathan, I said triple point, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and look at that. So I don't know that for sure. Just not too certain. Thank you, Janet, for the donation in Venmo, and thank you so much to Regina for the Venmo donation as well. Of course, like I say, all of that is appreciated, and it helps keep us going. So, especially as we get into the spring, because after the spring is done, the only thing I appreciate about summer, I hate the heat, but the only thing I appreciate about the summer is it's usually more calm, so I get to rest a little bit. It's just, now, obviously in the summer, there's other things to talk about, burn bans and those kind of things, and it does look like a dry summer coming up, so odds are we'll be talking about that again, but, I mean, it usually gives me a little bit of a chance to relax here. And Matt, how's the audio on the stream here? Because I'm seeing it hit to red, and I want to make sure I'm not clipping a lot. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes, and the audio has been kind of finicky on this system, so I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not making it sound terrible. Now, we are, as soon as I say that kind of updraft would usually lead to higher hail sizes and that kind of thing, we are starting to see the peaks. So this storm could be picking up steam a little bit, so we'll keep an eye on it. I don't want anyone to think that we're looking at anything urgent at the moment, but here's the red that we've been watching, right where we have that notch, and it's not been able to survive longer than a couple of frames this evening. So not really thinking that we're looking at anything too dangerous or too concerning at the moment. Okay, I want you to understand that it's what we're looking at so far is pretty limited here as far as what I'm seeing. So I think we're caught up on the Venmo and Cash App donations. Thank you all again. I'll make sure to keep up with that as we go through the stream. And thank you on air and all that good stuff. And if things get crazy, then we'll somehow or another make sure we keep up with that. But I want to zoom out again here. And let me reiterate that we have no severe warnings at the moment. The flash flood warning that was for Dallas and Tarrant counties has expired. So really nothing severe going on at this time. We have been watching this storm. We have a couple of other storms down to the southwest. Let me move that up a little bit there. Move that up a little more there. We'll just get Dallas and Fort Worth out of the picture there. We don't really need that at the moment. But moving into the Hamilton area, we have those two storms. This storm south of Glen Rose there in northern Bosque County, looks like that's pretty well falling apart. So right now the main focus is pretty much going to be this storm in northern Hill County here, moving into the Itasca area. That will be eventually moving on towards Italy and Milford, Maypearl areas in southern Ellis County as well. So we'll be monitoring that. It's definitely not as exciting as we thought it was earlier, at least as it looked earlier. It seems to want to do something, but it just can't seem to hold on to that. Okay, now the cat's gonna have to go because he's just causing problems. Come here. These are the joys of working from home. Kids and cats and all kinds of just non-stop chaos going on. So, and if you're a Harry Potter fan, it's serious because he's a black cat, right? So, it was funny, we made it work, but he's gonna have to go. So, see you, dude. All right. Okay, let's get back to business here. We are watching this storm. I think we might be transitioning a little bit over to really to a hail threat here. And as I mentioned, we're watching those updrafts, right? We're watching to see how that affects things. But I do think we have a little bit of a hail risk growing there. look at the velocity update. Yeah, we're watching velocity here as well. Question is, do we think the storms are still going to remain through tomorrow morning or dropping off earlier now? Yeah, so tomorrow morning will be another round. It won't be the same round as this. So we have these coming through. These will go through tonight. Early tomorrow morning is when we'll have the next round of storms. So that's what we're going to be watching. Thank you, Desiree, for the $25 donation through Cash App. I don't usually call out the dollar amount. I apologize. That's not my normal thing, but, you know, as already tired as I am. Will this storm hit Ennis? It depends on if it makes it there. This storm, there's no telling whether this is going to hold together or lose intensity or die out, whatever. Jessica's saying, a Harry Potter fan indeed. We have fish named Sirius, another named Cedric, bearded dragon named... We also have a dog named Luna. And then our other black cat is named Nox. Of course, the spell to take away white, Nox. So, heavily influenced by Harry Potter names in the house as far as our pets are concerned. So, that's something to something to keep in mind. To know us a little bit better, right? So we look at the velocity view here, and it definitely looks like, once again, right, we're definitely seeing this largely falling apart. The circulation that we had, and it's been doing that. It's just been kind of, it'll cycle up, cycle down, cycle up, cycle down. So again, we're not really seeing anything that's sustaining itself. We'll see little hints of rotation here and there, nothing that can sustain itself very long. And so that's just kind of the reality on that. Is there a time for it to get to Waxahachie? If this does make it to, really it looks like most of this will stay south of Waxahachie, but we could have part of that moving into the Waxahachie area over, I would say, the next hour or so. Mike, I do have Zelle and PayPal. I don't usually post those because it's just kind of a pain to do that. It's not as seamless, not as easy as the Cash App or the PayPal. But let me see if there's a way. Let me see if there's a way to actually. So the PayPal information. Let me send it over to. Let's see. Okay. Sending Matt the PayPal information. It's actually under the old name, the Ellis County Weather name. So there is that. But Mike, it's not a huge thing. I mean, all of those work, right? It's not an old school or new school thing. Zelle is great, but for some reason I've had a lot of trouble with it. My bank even promotes it, but then I have trouble running it. So it's just weird how that goes. But so sent that over to Matt if he wants to put that in there. A couple of questions about Maypearl. Does look like this storm will be moving towards Maypearl, I would say, in the next half hour or so. So if you're in the Maypearl area, the only thing you have headed your way right now is probably just going to be some heavy rain. There might be some small hail in this storm, but I think if there is, by that point, it's going to move more towards Itasca, Italy, Milford. So I think it moves south of the Maypearl area. So I think that's kind of where we are, where we're looking there. Okay, so yeah, I think this is. I think that's out. So no more earpiece, but we can still communicate through there. So it could be moving towards Rice later tonight. It's got a while though. I mean, if I get out of the way here, you can see that Rice, it's got a ways to go before it gets there. So I think Rice, it's going to be a minute. We'll have to wait and see what this storm does, if it even makes it that far, before we really know what to expect there. A question about the storms in the morning. So tomorrow morning, we could still see some severe weather with that. Actually, tomorrow morning was honestly the round that folks were looking at as possibly being more intense. I'm not sure how well that holds up at this moment, but I'll be looking more into that. I want to see what the indications are after this round moves through. So that'll be the work I'll be doing overnight to look ahead to tomorrow morning's round of storms. If anything, some of that may depend on how worked over this round of storms is before that comes through. So that might make a difference in terms of what we see. But I would say for now that we do still have a possibility of some severe weather. So if you look at this, this is what we're talking about here. And I want to see the velocity on that again. Let's zoom in on this Hill County storm. And let's watch for the update here on the velocity view. This is what I'm talking about, where it's kind of go back and forth. And yeah, just not seeing, I mean, you can see kind of maybe where the inflow is trying to go around in this way, kind of find that pathway in, but it's just not able to sustain itself. So it's just been doing little tricks here where we keep getting these notches, we keep getting these little hints of inflow or outflow, but nothing that's sustaining itself, nothing that's stable. Question on YouTube is the storm headed near Itasca, heading southeast. It's moving really due east at this point. Is it going to hit Corsicana? At this point, it looks like it'll probably hit Corsicana in the next hour or so, maybe more, maybe closer to an hour and a half. Still a ways away. So let me go broad because we got a lot of folks asking questions about this storm, and we'll get to that special weather statement here in a moment. But here's the storm. It's got a ways to go before it gets to Corsicana, so we really don't know a whole lot about the I-45 corridor at this time, but we'll keep an eye on that. And let's talk about this special weather statement, give that a read. So the hazard is winds in excess of 40 miles per hour and half-inch hail. So that's what is expected of this storm right now. It's moving east at 35 miles per hour. That's a decent speed, decent clip. And 40 miles per hour for the winds and half-inch hail. Just to give you perspective, for this, when we're talking about severe weather, 58 miles per hour or greater and an inch or more in diameter for severe weather. So we're not there yet. However, that is a strengthening storm. That is intensifying as we go. And so that's what we're watching. So this storm is picking up steam. A question about Alma. It will be headed towards Alma after a while. It's not anywhere close to Navarro County right now. So Navarro County locations, I don't really have a lot of direction to give you on this other than the fact that it'll be headed that way, again, in maybe the next hour or so, but it's going to be a little while before it gets there. Right now, this storm is focused on, it'll be northern Hill County, southern Ellis County, and then we will be looking at possibly Navarro County. And he wants to come back in. But the next step, if this storm continues to intensify, the next step is possibly looking at a severe thunderstorm warning if that goes forward. Troy on YouTube saying he confirms hail in Itasca. Troy, if you're safely able to do so and you want to send us a picture of a measurement on that, compare it to a coin. And that's because coins are static, right? People use marbles. There's different size marbles, those kind of things. Use a coin to compare it, and we'll get a size from that. This looks to, most of this will be the severe. Well, no, it's not severe yet. The strongest part of this will be going south of Waxahachie. So that's what we'll be watching there. I just got to check. And okay, thank you so much thank you so much, Mike, for the PayPal donation. I guess, Matt, if we want to add that to the list there, I guess it still works. I wasn't really sure. I don't know how to change the name on that. I'll probably have to go through on the computer and make some changes that way. Yeah, Troy, so it's really small hail. I mean, that sounds about right? Mostly going to be pea-sized hail. There might be some pocket change. There might be a dime in there somewhere. But that's probably all that we're seeing from this storm at this point. However, if it is intensifying, then yeah, we could be seeing a strengthening updraft, which means, okay, is this thing going to keep teasing me? Because let's watch and see what this does on velocity. Because we're looking, it is giving us outflow here and the inflow. So it's just not, and it's a, okay. All right. Yeah. Matt, I'm sure you concur, but I'm pretty sure. Okay, let's see. Okay. Let me just make an adjustment here where I can see some information coming in. But yeah, so we have the inflow here, and that's south of Itasca here, north of Hillsborough. The inflow, you can clearly see the inflow going in. I'm not sure about reciprocity of the outflow, but we are going to continue to watch that. And the number of times that we have been fooled by this thing, but what gives me pause for the moment is that we are looking at hail now being an issue, strong winds being an issue, which could very well mean that we're looking at that that increasing updraft. So we'll continue to monitor this, and it's not, I'm not really thinking that we're going to be looking at anything sustaining itself for too long. It's tried to get organized and then fallen apart and back and forth a lot. So I'm not putting a lot of stock into this. Caleb, you're asking, will Dallas get tornadoes? Not looking at a tornado threat in Dallas at this time. We'll be watching this storm, and let's go ahead and zoom back out and kind of get an idea of where the rest of these storms are that we're watching. Of course, this strong storm moving into Hamilton here, another one just north of there. Looks like those will probably stay on the southern fringes of our area. The storm in northern Bosque County, that's pretty well falling apart. So this is the main storm at the moment. Question, will the super bad weather or tornado hit Italy? So no tornado on the ground. Let me just make that very, very clear. The word tornado is getting thrown around a lot. There are no tornadoes right now, nothing confirmed, no, there's not any super obvious rotation right now. There's a little bit of back and forth, no tornadoes on the ground right now. So let me just make sure that everyone understands that. And Matt, if you'll put that in the chat and even pin it if you have to, no tornadoes on the ground right now. That's just not where we are right now. The storm itself, which primarily at this point has a gusty wind and small hail threat, that could be a problem, or that's really what we're looking at for this storm. That is moving towards the Italy-Milford area. So, hail and high wind is really all we're looking at for this storm, but no tornadoes on the ground. I know that there are people who, as soon as they see a storm on the radar, immediately there's a tornado on the ground and everybody's going to die. But we're not there yet. It's just we're not to that point. And I understand, storm anxiety and those kind of things, but it's just not, we're not there yet. Take a deep breath. Let's keep the chat clear and straightforward and simple, and go from there. Bo, new t-shirt idea. I guess send me that if you have, if you have an idea there. But and the storm is moving at 35 miles per hour, so that's how fast the storm is moving. We can do we'll do a track on that here. Okay. So, all right, so right there. So that's what we're looking at. So right now, moving into Itasca, Milford about 8:57, Italy about 9:03, Frost around 9:12, Avalon around 9:13, Lone Cedar in Blooming Grove right around 9:15, 9:20. So that's what we're looking at. And so that's going to be That's going to be what we're watching in terms of the motion and the speed of that storm. And we already have another update. And again, you see that where it's just, it keeps trying to get that notch, but every time, just about every time, it collapses. So it's just not able to really sustain itself well. And we'll kind of see what the, I'm just not seeing sustained inflow, outflow stability here. So, I mean, that's just kind of where we are with this storm. Let me check the... just trying to check a couple of things, trying to make sure I'm staying on top of this. All right, thank you, John, for the Cash App donation. Greatly appreciate that. And the other thing you can do to support us, of course, is share the stream. Share the stream, get the word out there, and make sure that folks are tuned in so that they're informed, right? And that helps us, of course, as well. So those are the two things you can do: like the stream, share the stream, that kind of thing. And also, the other thing too, and I've almost forgotten to do this. If you're watching on Facebook, take a trip over to YouTube, find South Metro Weather on YouTube, and I think you'll be impressed by the increase in quality, because Facebook has a tendency to compress their content, and we've even unfortunately seen some signs that some of the content on Facebook may not always be the most stable. And so we always make sure we're streaming on multiple platforms. So definitely go over to the YouTube stream, subscribe there, follow there, all that good stuff. Whatever, I guess subscribe isn't really what matters, but subscribe and give the stream a like and all those kind of things, so that you're there as well. And the other thing you can do too is you can turn on notifications on your phone, and that will allow you to get notifications when we go live or when we upload a forecast video or whatever the case is. Additionally, there are people that tell me that they will have the YouTube stream on their TV, because most smart TVs and streaming sticks and the Roku and the Amazon Fire and all those kind of things, all that's going to have YouTube. So you can put this stream on the television, and they'll have the Facebook stream on their phone following the chat. So that's one way to do it to stay engaged. But the best visual content is definitely on the YouTube channel. And Jay Vonnie, I'll stop yapping in a little bit. But if you're a streamer, if you spend any time as a streamer, you have to do the housekeeping stuff too, especially when this is a job. So so thank you so much for jumping over to YouTube. That's great. So, but the other reason I'm talking is there's not a whole lot going on here. We don't have any severe weather at this time. The storm moving through Itasca, here it is in motion. So it's moving a little bit north, a little bit more north easterly now. It's really kind of an easterly track, now moving a little bit northeasterly. So looking like parts of Waxahachie could get some of the heavier parts of this storm. And we've gotten reports of small hail in this one. We don't have a size really to confirm from this, but we do have small hail falling from this storm. The special weather statement you see here, that's giving us the possibility of half-inch hail, again, fairly small, half-inch hail and 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So that's what we're watching from this whole situation, and not a severe storm. Winds are 40 miles per hour. To be severe, they have to get above 58 miles per hour. Hail is half an inch. To be severe, it has to be an inch or more in diameter. So that's the criteria that we're looking at in terms of where we cross the threshold into a severe storm. Now, it's very possible that it could be intensifying, but we'll continue to monitor this and watch this for you. And a question from Jonathan saying, we're in Itasca and haven't seen any hail. I mean, you can have hail in one part of town and not in another part of town. I mean, in the Itasca area, whether you're directly in town or outside of town a little bit, I mean, that difference can matter sometimes. Let's broaden this out a little bit, because we're getting more convection out ahead of this whole thing. that could make a difference for some of you. Here in the Creechville area, just east of Ennis, we are now seeing a little bit of convection there ahead of it. And then from almost Frost down through almost to Mount Calm there, west into McLennan County here, we see some little bit of convection there. Yeah, then, we'll continue to watch as you really just have rain at this point. But obviously in Ellis County, there's rain falling. Somebody asked about Venus. Just some heavy rain there, but this is the strongest part of the storm that we're watching. You see the dark red and the purple, really the pink there. And so that is going to be moving towards Italy, towards Forreston, possibly southern parts of Waxahachie if that continues on to the northeast. So we'll be watching that. Somebody asking if the red's going to hit Waxahachie. Some of it probably will, but not all of the red. The thing is that not all of the red is going to tear your house down. I mean, that's mostly just heavy rain, and probably won't last very long. And so that's kind of what to expect in Waxahachie. Of course, some heavy rain moving into Midlothian right now. So that's what we're watching there. So really, this is going to move towards I-35 here. Now, getting some questions about I-45 from Rice and Ennis and Palmer to Ferris. It's got a little ways before it gets here. And Shalom, I know that you're saying that hook is freaking you out. It's really not well defined at this point. And as I mentioned several times, that hook will become more defined and then it collapse. And then it'll become more defined and it'll collapse. And it's just back and forth and back and forth. So we're not really seeing any consistency for it. That's why I'm not really that concerned at this current time. So after this storm system moves through, we do have another chance. It looks like we'll get a break overnight. I'm not certain about that. You can see behind this here, if I zoom this out, you can see some rain behind it. But by and large, okay, that answers my question. We now have farther to the west, from parts of Erath County down back behind Comanche there, we have more storms developing. And so when I mentioned this could be a long night, that's what I was talking about. And that is why I'm about to go request some coffee. Because all right. Yep, requested coffee because we're going to be up all night up here. So Shalom, you said this Alaska girl's not meant for Texas springtime. So fun story about that while we're kind of watching and waiting here. So I took a cruise to Alaska, and I will say that Alaska is probably among my top five favorite places in the world. Alaska is just wonderful out there. And two things I'll tell you about that is, first, we were coming into port, and I heard some kind of an announcement that we were coming into port or something, and I'm standing out on the deck. And it was the elevated deck. It was the really where we were having our breakfast most days. So it was kind of an elevated deck there on the cruise ship. And suddenly I feel and practically hear a rush of wind above my head. And this sounds like it's made up, but it's not. Above my head and past me flies a bald eagle and lands on the very front end of the ship. Now we get into port, and that must have been our second or third stop, because our first stop, we're in Juneau, Alaska. All of us Texans are thinking, well, it's going to be cold, so we're going to wear our jackets and that kind of thing. It was hot. It wasn't really even that hot. It was humid, terribly humid. And we thought, well, this is not right. This ain't right. So we step off, and it's humid as crazy. And we asked somebody, I said, is this normal? They said, no, this is actually the warmest and most humid it's been in a long time. And we said, well, we're from Texas. We must have brought it with us. We apologize. So that was my experience with Alaska, but I totally understand. Hearing that it's raining in downtown Waxahachie, and just storms. The question is just storms for tonight, no tornadoes. There's no tornadoes right now. There's still a threat of tornadoes, really from 35 on west, but at this point, it's really not at this point going to be too much of a risk. We're not looking at that being too much of a problem right now. If anything, we could be worried about tomorrow morning, but morning tornadoes are not that common. So I'm not terribly worried at this point. In fact, I'm going to check the Storm Prediction Center, and they do have, well, let me look at this if I can. Okay, so looks like tomorrow, and that's kind of what I suspected, is the increased tornado risk for tomorrow goes east of us. And really, that makes sense, because once the storms get east of us, we'll start warming up, right? That daytime heating will start setting in. Closer to noon, as it moves east of us and starts getting into the afternoon hours, yeah, they're probably going to be looking at there's a fairly decent tornado risk from East Texas through the deep south, southern Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, into Alabama. So that's going to be where the tornado risk is for tomorrow. So if anything, we may be catching these kind of at a nice point overnight, early morning, where we're coolest, and so that will kind of mitigate some of that risk. So I'm not extremely concerned at this point. So let me just go back in the comments here, see if I missed anything. Scott Lindsay, I appreciate you tagging some folks. Pouring down rain in Midlothian. Milford timeline, looking at the storm, I mean, it's going to be moving into Milford here in the next few minutes. So I'm being advised to check velocity again. And see, this is exactly what we've been seeing, where, again, we see this cycle up and then cycle down, cycle up and cycle down. And I'm not quite ready to try to kick the football again, because we're just not looking at, and if you look at this, it's eat, sleep, meteorology. Perfect. It's about all you can ask for in life. But we continue to watch this. Now, I will say that if you're looking for a couplet, this is probably the closest you're going to get to one. And a couplet is where you have inflow and outflow right next to each other. So that's usually going to be your better indication of rotation. I'm going to check and see. I don't see that mentioned anywhere. If I can get back to the, I don't see that mentioned anywhere specifically. So I'm not terribly concerned with that here. Let me just keep up with the chat here. Kim, yeah, so it looks like Big Green, I'm not sure what you're referring to there, but yeah, so it looks like tomorrow afternoon, evening should be dry. Now, earlier, if you were watching when we did the modelology, I'm going to start using that term now. We were doing our modelology demonstration here, which is meteorology with models, right? We looked at tomorrow and we started getting these echoes for tomorrow afternoon and evening of storms developing, or showers developing at least. I don't know what that's about. That's new to me. I'm going to have to keep watching that and kind of trying to figure out what's going on there. So yeah, Carl's Corner area, that's that's what I'm looking at. The Maypearl area, you might be getting some small hail, probably mostly just heavy rain there, but this is what we're watching, and I want to see what happens if we get an update here in the next few minutes, and we should, to kind of watch this and see where this goes. Because west of Milford here, this is the area we've been watching it try to rotate, and then it collapses, and then it tries to rotate again, and it collapses. It's just been a lot of on and off here and there. And yeah, okay, that's somewhat decent there. Let's go back to reflectivity and see if we've got a hook that's forming there. A little bit of one. So yeah, I mean, you can see where the inflow is starting to kind of carve out a little bit of a hook there again. But what's interesting is the red here is very thin. And so I just don't know that this storm has the structure to maintain that rotation. But what's interesting is we are seeing the outflow get a little more robust here. And obviously the inflow is there. The outflow is getting a little bit more robust. So we'll continue to monitor this going forward. But at the moment, I'm not extremely concerned. And I'm going to just kind of keep checking this information and just kind of see. Yeah, no discussion about it that I can see, at this moment. So not terribly concerned about that. We'll watch to see what it does. And of course, Matt is helping me watch as well. And let me see, I don't think we're, just make sure I'm caught up on all the Cash App and Venmo. So Crawl, that's what I'm getting is the name. Thank you so much for your Cash App donation. Definitely very much appreciated for sure there. So again, thank you so much. That definitely helps. And Aaron saying the stream's gotten very good and professional. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you so much, Aaron. I appreciate that. We try to keep it professional as possible here. We have a little fun too when we can, but we try to keep it mostly professional here, and we try to do a little bit of a balance, right? Because this is social media. Social media is supposed to be at least a little fun, right? And we don't want to just be serious all night. Immortal, you're saying there's some lightning which signals the storm may be strengthening. That's not really how it works. Lightning can happen in any kind of thunderstorm. So Brent, we discussed the special weather statement that is referring specifically to the possibility of this storm, the capability of the storm to produce 40-mile-per-hour winds and half-inch size hail. So that's what that's referring to. And then there was a question about Maypearl. Excuse me. So in the Maypearl area, you still have some heavier rain, but that should be moving out here in the next several minutes, probably in the next radar update here. So things will be calming down in the Maypearl area soon. Thank you so much, Scott, for your donation through Cash App. That is greatly appreciated. Caleb, you're asking, why was the wind so bad last night? I'd have to look back and see what you're referring to there. But we had the storms that moved through last night, and so it was probably just storm pushed winds, right? The downdraft pushing those outflow winds. So that's probably what we're looking at. Asking, what are you expecting in Carl's Corner? At this point, looks like it's going to move north of Carl's Corner there. So looks like this storm will just barely miss you, heading towards Milford and Italy there. Milford and Italy, I would say you're next up and could get some small hail as that storm moves through, but nothing too terrible, I think, at this point. And Brittany, you're saying it doesn't seem to be moving very fast. It's moving about 35 miles per hour. Not terribly slow, but also not terribly fast. That's about an average speed, I think, for a storm. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. So yeah, so again, could be looking at just a small hail core here. And we'll check just a couple of things. I want to see what velocity looks like with this update. See if that comes in here momentarily. And this will kind of show us what the trends are. So the trends are really important with storms. You try to see what lasts for a long time. And there's a lightning strike. So I'm starting to see lightning here at the studio. Probably the first I've seen that. Probably because it's just dark enough now. Still seeing some inflow outflow here, but again, it's not impressive enough, at least not at this point, to really make me too terribly concerned. If anything, I'm more concerned about possibly the increasing winds here. that will be going right along 35. This is right along kind of in the 5 Points, Great House, Boz area there, really southwest of Waxahachie, 876 there. So could be some stronger winds heading towards I-35 at this point. So that's going to be where your stronger winds are. We're watching this area to see if we have any kind of rotation that can sustain itself. So far, we have not been able to, it's not been able to sustain itself to this point. But we'll just have to keep watching that. But yeah, Navarro County, not really much happening at this point. There's some scattered showers, perhaps a thunderstorm or two there. We'll go back out and put this into motion so you can kind of see what we're dealing with here. And from Waco on through Hubbard and Mount Calm up through eastern portions of Navarro County, possibly up to Frost here. That's just some convection out ahead of this. Just rain, maybe a clap of thunder or two. Obviously, Hamilton getting a pretty big storm right now, more in the Bosque County area there. And then as you get into Ellis County, southern Ellis County, northern Hill County, that's where the strongest storm is right now. And then, yes, we are watching more development off to the west. That is going to keep me awake, which is why I'm drinking coffee here. Because, man, oh man, this is going to be a long night. A very long night. Okay, so that's what we have going on tonight. And we have round one, what looks like round two, and then round three should be, unless we get something in between there, should be tomorrow morning. And looks like that's unfortunately going to be moving in right around 6 or 7 a.m., right when it's most annoying and you're trying to get the kids off to school and that sort of thing. So unfortunately, that's what we're most likely looking at here. Just kind of clear all of this off. And I do want to make one mention of a sponsor, just very quickly here. Again, not really looking at much of a tornado threat. The tornado threat is low. It's not zero, but a bit of a tornado threat for sure. So we're just going to have to kind of watch that and see. But I do want to mention our brand new sponsor here. Just started at the beginning of the month, and I haven't really done much of a welcome for them. I'll do that very soon. But Heritage Air, which is actually just down the street from me here in Waxahachie, air conditioning, heating, and insulation. So welcome to the brand, Heritage Air, if you guys are watching, and thank you so much for supporting this brand. All of our sponsors are great. We don't, at the moment, if you're asking, I don't think we really have anything available at the moment for new sponsors, but that changes every few months, so I'll make sure to put the word out there for anybody that's interested. But welcome to Heritage Air Services. Great folks that have come highly recommended to me. MGR, you're saying 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. Mike, you're saying that a line develops 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. So that'll be the one that develops west of us and comes in probably around 6 or 7 a.m. The tornado threat, again, we talked about that earlier, not really looking at much of a tornado threat at the moment. And again, round two around 6 or 7 a.m. 879 by the drive-in movie. So you'll get some gusty winds, heavy rain, possibly some small hail there. But that's pretty much it. So Lisa, okay, well, your niece works there. We'll tell your niece thank you so much for working for a great brand that's working with us. So very excited to have them on board. Okay, so just west of Milford, just rain and thunder. Yeah, so you're not going to see hail all through that storm necessarily, but you could see some. And any hail you get, again, this has only been advised for half-inch size hail. So, and Caleb, you're asking how bad will it be Friday? Friday morning, tomorrow morning, could be some severe storms. I would say probably pretty similar to what we're seeing tonight, if I had to guess. It's hard to know exactly how intense it's going to be because this is working over the atmosphere a little bit. So part of that will be dependent upon what kind of, okay, we're going to try to get Jensen to stop making so much noise out there. But you can see that, the air's being worked over significantly now. And then as we get to tomorrow morning, we'll get a better idea kind of what we're dealing with at that point. Because to tell you the truth, I mean, it's really going to be one of those kind of wait and see. Ooh, that's a good lightning strike. Kind of a wait and see type deal. The brand of coffee tonight, I believe this is more drag up coffee. I believe it's the vanilla brand. So again, we've been watching this on and off, right? On and off with this notch that keeps on coming back. And we'll check this on velocity here. And yeah, I'm just, again, there's some inflow outflow, but it's nothing that's been intense enough to really get me too worried. So not too concerned. If you see that little hook there, that little notch, not really too concerned about that. Also, where this is right, moving right over 35 here, could be some gusty winds. Asking when will it hit Palmer? Probably in the next half hour or so. David Hatley, I know you're very much against the tornadoes, but we don't have anything right now, nothing to worry about. Trust me, I will put the word out if there is something to worry about, but there's nothing at this moment right now. Yeah, plenty of lightning out there. So Laura thought that was your baby monitor. I know. Jensen is definitely a noise maker. He likes to be expressive. So you'll hear him on the stream from time to time. His intentions are good. So, and I guess he's happy now. I don't know. I think Brother's got him entertained now, but let me see. I'm trying to get back through the comments here. What time would it be for Lavon, Texas? I don't know where Lavon is, if I'm completely honest. Lavon, where's Lavon, Texas? Why am I know the town, I'm just blanking on where it is. But I'm not sure why you're asking about Lavon. I mean, it kind of seems like you're just asking about random towns. But yeah, Lavon, Texas, that's way up on Lavon Lake, which is almost Oklahoma, practically. Well, I say that. It's near McKinney, near Wiley. So I don't know what to tell you about Lavon because I'm not watching that area. So yeah, don't know what to tell you. Okay, so hail hitting the wall, hitting the window in Italy. Thank you so much for that report. Okay, yeah, I'm not looking at Rockwall. Yeah, so hearing reports of hail in Italy, and you can see that little hail core, if we can even really call it that. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, so Avalon's going to be right here, just between Italy and let me go ahead and zoom in there. Well, how far am I going to have to go? Okay, well, there we go. Sometimes you have to really zoom in, and I can't control what towns are up here when. But here's Avalon and Italy and Milford. So that corridor is right here. So that hail core there moving into the Italy area, and then we'll be moving towards the Avalon area. So you're getting small hail in Italy right now. Let me put a word in here. Just get some intel from that way. And you can see these other little spots here, and we'll continue to watch that funky little notch down there in the Milford area. And yeah, I mean we're watching this, and if you can see this, we're getting some of those brighter colors here near Italy and Milford there. So we'll continue to watch that. And let's see. Okay, a lot of questions about Corsicana. This won't be moving into Navarro County, the Corsicana area, for probably another 30 minutes or so, 45 minutes. Looks like this will move north of Corsicana, to be honest with you. So not terribly concerned about Corsicana at the moment. But we are going to keep watching velocity here because if you're just joining in, we have had this storm trying its best off and on to produce some kind of rotation, and it just can never maintain that organization there. So we're going to continue to watch that just because it's in the right spot. We have the red and green, possibly it looks like at worst some broad rotation here. I mean, we are seeing it's pretty close here, but I'm just not convinced. And I mean, that's in the right spot. So we will continue to watch that. Definite hook here, and you can even see a little more organized than it has been, so far. Yeah, so hearing there's hail in Italy, I'm trying to get some more information on that as well. Yeah, so, and I know that there's a lot of folks in that area that are probably just tuning in, so let me just kind of cover this. We are not looking at any kind of severe weather warnings at this point. No severe thunderstorm warnings, no tornado warnings, anything of that sort. This is the main storm we're watching. And small hail being reported in Italy, plenty of it, sounds like. No confirmation on size there, but we're not severe warned yet. So, but again, I haven't received any pictures. If you do send pictures in, compare the size of the hail to either a ball, a sports ball of some sort, so a golf ball or whatever, or a coin. Because if you compare it to really anything else, then those sizes can change. That can be subjective. We need it to be a reliable, consistent size to understand what we're looking at. So Kim Lopez saying a dime size, and that could be helpful. Getting a question, are we going to get bad weather at 2 a.m.? Well, I mean, that depends on where you're asking first, but doesn't look like 2 a.m. Unless the storms farther to the west take that long to get here. So timeline's a little bit in flux. So we'll continue to monitor this storm. We've been talking about the hook echoes that keep coming and going, and we haven't really seen anything establish itself. Odds are this next update, which we'll probably get here in a few minutes, odds are we're probably going to see that hook echo collapse. Rhonda, he said, you think that last thunder crash scared a skunk outside your window? That's terrible. I mean, it's not impossible, right? I wouldn't doubt it. Making sure the pups are in. And hey, Eric, seeing you in the comments there. Good to see you on the stream tonight. Eric, of course, from Texas Motorplex down towards Ennis. And so they got some great events coming up, and stay tuned because I might be a part of some of those. So stay tuned and we'll keep you updated on that. But lots of really neat stuff going on down at the Motorplex. Of course, I was part of the Stampede for Speed last year. Had a lot of fun with that. So looking forward to more work with them in the future. Yeah, more confirmation of hail in the Italy area. Brandon, you're asking about tornadoes in Gerald, Texas. I really hope you're not joking there, because the F5 that occurred in Gerald, I believe in 1997, is definitely not a funny matter. Gerald, Texas, far south of us, so not involved in tonight's storms. But if you're joking about the Gerald, Texas tornado, find something else to do, because it's not going to be tolerated here. But yeah, Gerald, 1997, one of the absolute worst tornado incidences I've ever read about. I mean, we're talking about, this was an F5 tornado that was very slow moving, and it sat over a neighborhood for, Matt, what was it, like a minute and a half? Which, when you're talking about a tornado, that is an eternity. Absolute eternity. So absolutely one of the worst events I've ever heard. So Brandon, yeah, I'm glad to hear that it's not a joking matter. I've seen that before, so I get a little bit defensive of the folks there in Gerald. But yeah, Gerald is far south of us. So and Caleb, you're asking me about Joplin. I don't know the Joplin event as well, but Gerald I know was pretty unique. Joplin was a large tornado, but I don't think it was slow moving the way that, I don't think it was as slow moving as the Gerald tornado. So the Gerald tornado, that was kind of its own phenomenon. So we have a radar update. Let's check velocity again and see what we're looking at. Okay, so now we need to talk. So we're definitely looking at intensifying rotation. This is what I've been watching for, okay? green and red bright right next to each other, a concentrated area of rotation. It looks like that's what we're looking at right now. Now, this is not a severe warn thunderstorm, and so it's possible that it just doesn't quite have the support it needs. But I'm looking at this, and any trained meteorologist is going to look at this and go, okay, we might have to talk about this. And the fortunate thing, like I've been saying all night, this has not held composure for very long at any point. Now, this is the most well-defined as we've seen it, but it has not actually, it's not held its composure very long in the past. So Shadow Gaming, you say rain just stopped in Milford and came back down, possible updraft. It's possible, so, and again, the kids, they love to be right outside the door here. But we're going to watch this very closely, because if this rotation that's apparently on radar, if this couplet maintains itself, then we could be looking at it finally holding organization and possibly rotating. Now, I'm being asked about Waxahachie. Waxahachie's getting some heavy rain and lightning, thunder, and possibly some gusty winds, but not much happening in Waxahachie right now. We have to stay focused on southern Ellis County here, where we're looking at possible rotation here. Now, as I said, we could be looking at this just holding composure for just a brief moment, but it is in the right part of the storm. You can see where the inflow kind of makes that notch. It looks like, if anything, it could be kind of wrapping along itself, which would be a good thing, because that would choke off that inflow and stop any kind of tornado development or anything like that. So we'll see what that does. But yeah, Waxahachie just getting some rain right now. Nothing severe there for sure. But we need to watch this southern Ellis County component of that storm very closely to see what those trends do. And so this is going to be moving northeast. So really this is going to be moving, I would say, let me just check something real fast. So really the areas that I'm more concerned about are going to be the Texas, the Highway 34 corridor from Italy over to Abilene to Bardwell to Ennis. So that's going to be the area I'm most concerned about with this. Okay, I'm hearing that there's sirens going on in Italy. Are you sure? Are you sure about that? Matt, are you hearing anything? Because I don't know if we necessarily need to have sirens going at this point. And if you don't know for sure, let's try not to say that. We continue to have this rotation here. So we have sustained rotation here in southern Ellis County. If you're in Abilene, if you're in Bardwell, I'm going to go ahead and say let's take shelter now. I want to make sure that I've got. Am I missing something? Has there been a warning issued that we're not seeing yet? I've got warnings on. Matt, let's start looking into this diligently, and please let me know if you see anything. Okay, I'm trying to get information as to what is going on in the Italy area. I'm hearing that there's sirens being sounded in that area. So if you're in Italy, if you're in Avalon, if you're in Bardwell, that Highway 34 corridor there. Let me just check with someone in Italy. Okay, I'm checking into that right now with someone that lives there, trying to get verification here, because we are looking at sustained rotation. I don't know if possibly emergency management sees that circulation and has decided to go ahead and sound those. I'm not sure. I'm trying to get some confirmation here. But if we go back to now, if it's not, if it's not, any kind of, if it's, ambulance sirens or something, let me know. But I'm hearing that there's no sirens in Italy right now. Okay, so yeah, downtown Italy, no sirens. We're going to continue to watch this, because we do have We do have sustained rotation here. This is the first sustained rotation we've had so far this evening. But yeah, so it looks like there's no sirens in Italy. I think that was probably just some jokesters or something, or you were hearing a fire engine siren or something. But we can't afford to play around here, because this is a serious show. We take this very seriously. Okay, so yeah, it was sounds like it was an ambulance crew. So I didn't think I would have to actually say this, but there is a difference between outdoor warning sirens and ambulance sirens. Big difference. Don't play around. We don't have time for that. Well, Justin, I mean, again, you're probably hearing first responder sirens. Big difference compared to the outdoor warning sirens, which is what we're looking for. But we continue to look at this circulation here, and we should be getting an update fairly soon here, but this is the most kind of sustained circulation we've been looking at, and you can see that it continues to intensify as it moves east. And really, this is really what we watch for when we want to see, is there a possibly developing tornado or a possibly developing area of circulation. And this is the only kind of sustained circulation we have seen. So let me just kind of grab the handle here, and I'm trying to get that to stop. So what we're looking at, and you can see here, that is very clear escalation of that rotation, the inbound and outbound winds. So we're going to continue to watch this. I don't see a warning from the National Weather Service at this point. If we zoom this out here, you can see these are not rotating winds here. That's straight line winds. What we're watching is right here near the Avalon area. So that's what we're watching for. And again, I don't see a warning by the National Weather Service, but I'm concerned that we could be looking at some sustained circulation. You can almost see this empty slot here. And so, yeah, we have this dry slot here right in the reflectivity. Let's go to the velocity and see what that looks like. But I'm very concerned about rotation in this part of the storm, and I'm not hearing anything else from anyone else. And folks, if it turns out that there's something going on and it's not being warned, it would not be the first time that I have stood here and talked about a possible tornado and been the only one to do so. We continue to see this sustained rotation here. This is the first time tonight that this storm has maintained that circulation. So if you're in the Avalon area, if you're in Bardwell, if you're in Ennis, if you're in Rice and Alma, even in Blooming Grove, I would start thinking about taking shelter now, because we have this sustained circulation here. No warnings are being issued at this time. Make sure you share this stream, get the word out there, because again, I'm not hearing anything from the National Weather Service. I'm a little concerned, again, that we have this dry slot here, because that means where it's not raining, that's an updraft. And that means that we have a specific area of updraft where these winds, these conflicting winds, are coming through. Okay, all right, so getting more indication here that we could be looking at some rotation. I'm waiting on the National Weather Service. And I don't have a direct link to them at this moment, but hopefully I'll get some kind of word from them of whether they're watching this or not, what the situation is. But I'm just going to continue saying that, yeah, in the Avalon area, let me zoom in a little bit more. Here's Avalon. Here's the area I'm concerned about. So yes, this is the Avalon area. 34 is going to be right here connecting Bardwell, Avalon, and Italy. So right along 34. So Avalon, Rankin, Lone Cedar, on over to Bird and Bardwell. This is the area that I'm most concerned about right now, possibly for rotation and circulation and an attempt by this storm to develop some kind of a tornado. Now, I understand we do not have a severe thunderstorm warning for this storm. It doesn't look as intense. But when I see the signs, and I may be eating crow for the rest of my life on this, but I'm not sure. And Jordan, we need to get him out of here. But the Avalon area between Avalon and Lone Cedar. This is what I'm looking at. This is the only kind of sustained rotation that we have seen, and still, I don't see a warning issued here. So I may be losing it, folks. I may be sounding the alarm for nothing, but I think everyone just about would back me up that we're seeing multiple signs of rotation here, and it has sustained itself for a few of these updates. So the National Weather Service may be waiting for another scan before they see this, and this could be gone in another scan, and hopefully it is. But for the moment, we have seen sustained circulation on this, and not seeing any kind of Caleb, I don't know what you're talking about, but we have seen this indicate this area here of pretty sustained circulation. And so if nothing else, they may be doubting that this storm can sustain that or can really do anything with it. But I would rather let you know what I'm seeing and be transparent about it than see it and not say anything and all of a sudden there's a warning, and I could have given you several minutes of warning. So we'll keep watching this. We should be getting an update on the radar here momentarily. So I'll be very curious to see what that does. But this is the area of possible circulation that we're looking at. So we'll continue to monitor this and see what this does as this continues moving through the Avalon area on towards Bardwell here. So that's where we're going to be watching. I haven't heard anything about opening the domes in Avalon. This came up pretty quickly, so I doubt there's been time to actually do that. Asking what radar, this is Radar Omega. It's probably the best product I've ever used. A really, really great product. So that's what we're using. I'm waiting for an update here to see if this rotation maintains itself, or maybe, hopefully, it's falling apart. Hopefully it doesn't sustain itself, and we can go back to talking about a small hail threat. But this is the longest I've seen this storm try to hold this rotation here. So we're going to give it a little bit of time and wait to see what this does. Okay, so TMC Weather Indy, it's Radar Omega is what it's called. Okay, so yeah, I'm still, it doesn't look as intense as it was a moment ago, but I'm still seeing possible rotation here. If anything, what you see down here where this is kind of bowing out could be looking at some of those RFD winds wrapping around here, and still possibly looking at a couplet here as this now moves towards northern Navarro County. So I'm going to keep watching this. I still think that we could be looking at possibly some kind of a rotation, and you can still see a little bit of a notch here. So I'm going to keep watching that. And Matt, I don't know if you've heard anything new or seen anything new, but yeah, I'm not seeing really much of anything at this point. And I'm going to check a couple of things. Doesn't look like Navarro County Emergency Management has any updates on this. Yeah, nothing, really nothing from anybody. I may be the only one. I may be screaming into the wilderness here. I mean, surely I'm not lost my mind, right? I mean, we all saw that. It's just, yeah. So I'm. Okay, well, let's go back to this. And again, this is the area that I've been watching. And we had very concentrated rotation in that area that was radar indicated. National Weather Service has not issued any kind of warnings or anything, but it's nighttime. It's really hard to see anything, and so it's really, really tough. But we have seen we saw enough indication there for a moment. Looks like the rotation may be broadening now, which is a good sign. But there for a moment, man, we saw some very tight circulation. And I think the National Weather Service is probably waiting on this to subside, waiting for it to fall apart again, because it's done that several times. It'll start to wrap up a little bit and then it falls apart, wraps up a little bit again, then falls apart again. But this is the longest and really the most it's kind of concentrated here. So that's the most intense circulation we've seen out of the storm so far tonight. So right now we're waiting for another update on this, and it may be a few minutes, but what we were seeing there, and I'll go back and show you this on the radar. See if I can get this a little out of the way. So what we were seeing, and I want to show you this in loop, because you can see the escalation here. Near the Italy area, you can see the reds and the greens trying to kind of come together a little bit. The very next frame, again, starting to kind of come together a little bit. And then there you go, just south of Italy, that's where we start to really see that couplet coming together. And if you even go to the next one, that couplet maintains itself and then just keeps on going. And then that's where we are right now. So it looks like that rotation could be broadening, could be kind of falling apart a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at the moment as far as where that potential rotation is. I haven't seen anything about any kind of warnings or really anything at all from anybody else. So I guess we'll see, what actually comes of that. But like I say, I think the National Weather Service was going to wait it out a little bit, see if that was going to fall apart. And getting reports of more hail in the Italy area. So, okay, well, we still have kind of what looks like maybe now just more broad rotation. But I'm going to keep an eye on this. I just, I think that was, if nothing else, I think that might have just been a close call there that we had. And it looks like here that hook shape we had is starting to kind of fall apart a little bit, so that may be broadening again. That might be what the National Weather Service was waiting for, was to see if that was going to fall apart. But my goodness, there for a moment, it looked pretty close. So we'll continue to monitor that. And this is an environment, like I say, where we're really moving this into a more volatile area. The unstable air has not been worked over as much in this area as it has in other places. So, and my instincts are going to tell me that, storms may easily intensify through this environment. So they definitely warrant watching at this point. If we go a little bit further out, and get a better picture of what we're looking at across north central Texas, we see this storm continuing, now moving towards really southern Bosque County there north of Gatesville, and then that will be moving over towards the Waco, Lacey Lakeview area. Not much happening in Hill County at this point. This is the storm that we're watching. This is the one that has all of our attention, because really it's the most intense storm in our area right now. So all of this, and what's ironic? I want to point something out here. And I keep calling back to this, but Matt, you might be noticing the same thing too. On October 4th, you remember that night when we had that tornado warning after all the messaging that day said the tornado threat was low, the line came down and then it bent right at that storm. Well, we've got the same situation tonight, right where we were seeing that rotation. So as far as I'm concerned, all the signs are there. So this storm definitely needs to be watched. And my instincts definitely have me honed in on that area of what looks right now like broad rotation. Looks like that will move south of Venice here, moving more due east. That's the other thing too. Looks like it's taken a right turn, another characteristic of some of these rotating storms. So taking a right turn more towards Emhouse and Rice. So we will continue to watch this. I don't think there's anything imminently dangerous at this very moment. Let me move this over a little bit so I'm not in the way. I don't think there's anything imminently dangerous right now. And Nathan, we'll look at the Wichita Falls area when we get ready to talk about the next round. But this is the area that we've been paying attention to. And the thing is, I'm getting a message here. Let's see what that's going to have to load. Okay, so I'm not alone. There are others mentioning the rotation. Thank God, because I feel like I'm standing alone out here. So we'll continue to monitor this rotation as it continues to move eastward. Looks like it's north of Blooming Grove, so I think Blooming Grove is okay at this point. North of there, and again, it's pretty broad rotation right now. So in that next update that we should get momentarily, it could go either way. We could see that tighten up again. We could see that continue to broaden and kind of fall apart. So we'll see what happens. And let me just kind of see. And thank you, Anthony, for your... Let me get caught up on this here. Because I think I'm behind. So thank you, Anthony, for your PayPal donation there. I think that was the only one that I missed. Yeah, Derek. So yeah, we do have more storms building to the east, and we will get to those, but our immediate attention needs to be on the situation at hand. We need to be watching this storm to see what the trends do on this particular storm, to see if we wrap up this rotation again, or if that does continue to broaden and kind of fall apart. Okay, so all right, I'm just checking in with some folks here, kind of checking my sources. Okay, well, here we go. So we've got brightening colors again south of Bardwell. So I'm telling you, folks, if you're between Bardwell and M House here, really any of those communities, just go ahead and get in your safe spot. The worst case scenario is you spend some time in the closet and no harm, no foul. But we continue to see these colors close together and bright colors there. So we're going to continue to watch this, and I'm continuing to be concerned. And we'll see if a warning is issued here shortly. Mike, a serious question. What do your family do if a tornado does come? We are first time in a double wide mobile home. All bathrooms and closets are on exterior walls. So if you're in those mobile homes, and I grew up in one, I understand. So you want to try to find someone you know with a brick and mortar home or some kind of more sturdy structure you can go to. So make some brownies, make some cookies, make a cake, make something to taste good. Go make some friends. Okay, and I'm dead serious about that. I sound funny right now. I'm dead serious about that. Go find a friend nearby you, next door, down the street, wherever, somebody with a home that has a safer spot, and make friends with that person and make a plan with that person, because a double wide is not the safest place to go. Yeah, so we're going to, a lot of comments here. We're going to address this here shortly. Okay, so, all right, so I'm just checking in on some information, but we continue to see this broad rotation here. We're seeing this light up again, and no warnings have been issued at this point, but we are seeing pretty persistent rotation from this storm. And it's just not, storm shelter. Well, that's what we did. When we lived in a double wide mobile home, we had a storm shelter so that we didn't have to worry about that. So it's a great idea for sure to do that. But this is what we're watching. If you're just tuning in for the first time, northern Navarro County, southern Ellis County, we are watching this area of rotation. We had a close call a minute ago where the rotation got very, very tight, very concentrated, kind of fell apart, and then now we're seeing the starting to line up again. No warnings from the National Weather Service at this point. We've got nothing coming from them, nothing from emergency management, as far as I can tell, not from Navarro County. I haven't seen anything or heard anything from Ellis County at this point, but I may be the only one saying it in this area, but I am concerned about the rotation in that area. It is headed to the east. which again, taking more of an easterly turn now. And that is another characteristic, as if we didn't have enough already, another piece of evidence, another characteristic of this rotation that you see, where it's moving kind of a little bit more to the right. So I am concerned about the Rice-Alma area. So that if you're in Rice and Alma, I would go ahead and get in your safe place now. If there's no tornado and you call me a hype artist later, we can have that conversation. Believe me, I'll have it with you. But M-House, Rice, Alma, those are the areas right now, southern Ennis, where you need to be taking shelter right now until this passes. No confirmation of a tornado, no tornado warning at this point, just my instincts that are looking at this very clear rotation where we can see that that is moving towards this area, and there's apparently no other word out there. It has moved away from the Alma area, so Alma should be okay, but I'm still waiting to see if there's going to be any kind of warning or anything at all issued for that storm. Not seeing anything yet. Yeah, not seeing anything new, and we continue to see these bright colors here. So yeah, the rotation may be a little broad at this point, but we're still seeing these bright colors, still seeing sustained rotation indicated by radar on this storm. Now the other thing too is, yes, we're looking a little higher in the storm, but it's not that high. We're not looking that high in the storm, to be honest with you. So it's just, yeah, I'm going to keep singing this song. And I may be singing alone, and I may be singing under the void, but damn it, I'm going to keep doing it. Onion Creek, Bird, Oak Grove, Rice, M-House. These are the communities. These are these small communities where this rotation is taking place. We continue to see the reds and the greens pretty close together, and it's possible that we could be looking at, again, broader rotation than we had a moment ago, but my concern is that it is sustained, okay? So, and you're asking how fast this is moving, probably about 35, 40 miles per hour. Not moving towards Waxahachie, I saw that question, but this is moving east-northeast. So again, Onion Creek, Ensign, Oak Grove, Alma, Rice. That's the area that we are watching here. So I'm going to continue to monitor this. We'll be watching this very closely. No warning has been issued. Nothing's been confirmed at this time. And so, I appear to be, as far as people in this area, I would say in Creechville. I would say you're probably too far north, but I would say in Creechville, go ahead and just stay alert. I don't know if you need to take shelter at this moment, but go ahead and stay alert in that area. Matt, do you see, I guess maybe check with other streamers to see if there's any other Texas Storm Chasers or anybody that's talking about this. Mary, thank you so much for the donation through Cash App. Thank you so much. So Brandon, yeah, so the storms that are forming west of us, we'll take a look at those here in a little bit after this threat has passed. But it's very possible that those could weaken, but we'll take a look at that here in a little bit. We need to stay focused on northern Navarro County, southern Ellis County. That's kind of our area of concern right now, where I'm going to check a couple other places, but I don't see any other kind of conversation about this rotation. Now I do see some, but not anything official. Not seeing any, at least not any big names that are talking about it right now. But this is definitely an area of sustained and focused rotation in that area. So, hearing there's not a lot of live streams going on right now. So, I might be the only one watching this, but we'll see what happens. In the Ennis area, this is south of Ennis, so it looks like it's going to stay south of there. This is right along the county line between Navarro and Ellis counties here. That's where we're watching this rotation that has been sustained, and this is, as I mentioned, this storm has tried to rotate several times. This is the first time that we've seen this kind of robust, sustained rotation from this storm. And I'll tell you too, that as I mentioned before, it's moving into a more unstable environment at this point. because this air has had less to work with, less to work it over the past, several hours. So yeah, the possibility is definitely there that there could be a heightened possibility of these storms getting more fuel in this area because it's untapped. There's going to be more instability there naturally because it hasn't had the storms throughout the day to continue sustaining it. And we should be getting an update any moment now on the velocity. I want to see if this sustains itself. Okay, so looks like it could be weakening here. It's a good sign. I'm not convinced that it's over yet, but still at least some broad rotation. And we've seen this go kind of up and down, right? We've seen this, tighten up and intensify and then weaken and go either way. So we will continue to monitor this closely to see if it continues a weakening trend or if it tries to intensify again. But man, we definitely had much more intense circulation. And I'll go back and show you. I mean, anybody that sees an image like that is going to perk up and really start paying attention. And, that was 9:14. It's 9:42 now. So if you watch it, you can see that it sustains itself, and you can see that right there, it tries to intensify some, and then the trend now is that it looks like it's starting to weaken a little bit. We're getting updates, Javier, about every 4 to 5 minutes on the radar here. So that's what we're seeing. And I understand the National Weather Service has quicker radar updates. So they may be ahead of me and they may know nothing's going to happen. But we're going to continue to watch this as now we're really looking at more Navarro County moving towards I-45, towards Alma and Rice. I would go ahead and just stay in your safe place. Let's just make sure that this is going to continue weakening and not do anything interesting. Because, this storm has repeatedly tried to rotate and repeatedly has not been able to do so until about 9:15 is when we saw that very quick attempt to spin up. And, we'll keep watching this. We'll keep monitoring it. And, who knows? When the sun comes up tomorrow, we may find out there was a very brief spin up from this thing. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know that it had time, right, to do that. But, so far the circulation, another question about Ennis, it's going to stay south of Ennis there. We'll turn back to reflectivity here. We still have our area of updraft. We still have our rain-free base here, for the most part, rain-free base. But the hail core is definitely north of that, continues to move on towards, and again, probably small hail there. But we've been watching the rotation in this storm and keeping an eye on that. And fortunately, it looks to be broadening now and kind of not as intense. Broader rotation here. You can definitely see, again, some inflow and maybe some outflow here, but not as intense as it was a few moments ago. So that's the good news. But it looks like we could be out of the woods here. I'm not calling it all green light yet, because again, we've been watching this thing for some time now, keeping an eye on it, and man, we really got some intense echoes from this thing. And I understand that it's not a severe warned storm. I understand that we're not seeing a whole lot out of it. I've seen storms with a lot less do a lot more. So, you can't convince me that that's enough to say, hey, well, now we don't need to worry about it. We don't need to think about it. That comes up, I'm watching it, and I'm going to mention it so that I can make sure that if something crazy does happen, that we continue to watch it. But all of that said, no tornado warnings issued by the National Weather Service, nothing that they've mentioned. And you can see in the area, really nothing. These are much farther away from the radar, so not sure about that. But yeah, this is the area we're watching. And how are echo tops? Won't that show updrafts? Well, echo tops, it's going to show, at this point, that's a mature storm. So that's going to show us that it's probably a fairly tall storm. But I don't know that we're really going to see a whole lot more than that. And the good news is that we're not, in Tamaria, there was a report of sirens, but it turns out it was just an ambulance or something. So that report was completely erroneous. Yeah, no sirens in Italy. If you're hearing sirens, folks, it's a fire truck or an ambulance. It's not outdoor warning sirens. And come on, we know the difference, right? Let's not play around. But we're not seeing the kind of hook that we saw earlier. So that's the good news, right? In the Rice area, another little storm there in the Italy area, another one by Itasca. So yeah, that's what we're seeing now. And if nothing else, we might be able to get rid of. Hopefully, we can. Okay, Kim, we can try to figure that out later. Okay, hold on a moment. Okay, now I'm hearing, this is chaos. What in the world is going on here? Now I'm hearing that the outdoor sirens are going off. Okay. We're going to have to figure, I'm going to have some conversations with some folks because this is just crazy. I mean, is anyone else in Italy experiencing this right now? Okay, so I'm hearing confirmation from multiple places now, apparently. Okay, we're going to try to figure this out. We're going to try to figure out what's going on in this area. And, okay. We're going to try to figure out what's going on with that. But as far as this is concerned, right here in the M House area, we could be looking at... okay, so we're checking in on that, but we are looking at some brighter colors here. We continue to see just broad rotation, folks. We're not looking at really concentrated rotation at this point, but the broad rotation remains. So I think at this point, I think we're pretty well at a point now where we're not too terribly concerned. It warrants watching, but we're not terribly concerned at the moment. So we'll continue to monitor that for you. But I'm not near as concerned as I was. We still kind of have your notch here, that area part of the storm, but at the moment it's not near as organized as it was before. So we're checking into this siren situation, trying to figure out what's going on there. We need to figure out what's going on there because what I'll tell you is in the Italy area right now, there's not any kind of imminent threat of danger right now. So it must be a malfunction with that siren because there's no imminent danger in the Italy area right now. And the thing is, and there's okay, slow down on the siren questions here. So if you're hearing a sustained tone from that siren, it's generally going to hold that sustained tone for a while. So it's not like a fire engine siren where it's going to be up and down and up and down and up and down. It's going to hold that tone for a longer period of time. Sometimes they hold that tone and they oscillate, right? So it's just holding that tone and going on and off. So okay. So now I'm hearing that it appears to be. So I'm hearing that it was a fire engine, and here's the thing, folks. And I know this because I've been watching fire engines on YouTube with my son. Fire engines have two sirens. Fire engines there's the siren that goes up and down, right? The fire, we hear that on police cars, ambulances, all that kind of stuff. They do have that wailing siren. And the effect is that it gets louder and louder, and then you hear the tone go down when it passes you. if it's going down 34 and you live on 34, it's going to be coming your way for a while. But it's still a fire engine siren. These outdoor sirens, it's a very distinct sound, and maybe it's just been a while, but folks, man, we got to get a handle on this. Okay, the fire truck went by my house on College Street. So, okay, so Kim, I want you to understand that the fire engine sirens, the wailing siren will hold that tone. It's different, again, it's different from the wee, the up and down. It's a sustained siren there. And so you're going to hear, it's going to hold that tone. And especially when it's in traffic or it's going through rain like it is now at night, it's going to hold that tone the entire way it goes, and you don't hear the tone change until it passes you and goes beyond you, at which point you're not in the direct line of the way the tone is going, so you're going to hear that tone drop off. But as long as you're in front of that tone, it's going to hold that. That does not necessarily mean that it's not a fire truck. It's just a different siren on that truck. And so that's what, we're hearing. Okay. So Ellen, you said there's a siren at the ballpark in Italy going off. Our house backs up to it, not going off. Is it going off or not? I can't tell now. So if there is an outdoor warning siren going off in Italy, then it has to be a malfunction. Okay, I'm going to go on a quick break here because I need to investigate this. We'll be right back. All right, folks. Now, to communicate that this is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life is an understatement. So, my understanding is that there's there's a whole lot of right going on, and then there's a whole lot of what going on. So my understanding is that the siren that's going off in Italy, and I've got a contact that's getting as much back and forth information as I'm getting, and while there are fire trucks and first responders going to and fro in Italy, which I think is part of the confusion here. The other confusion is that this alarm that I'm told is at the ball field apparently is a lightning alarm that is used for the guys that are playing baseball out there. Now, what I don't understand, and we're going to continue to watch the velocity here, and I'm going to be checking into this, and we're continuing to possibly see some disorganized rotation here, and that's what I'm seeing here. So I'm not seeing anything that's got me alarmed at the moment, no pun intended. But we'll continue to watch this over in Rice. I'm going to keep my eyes on this while I talk, but what I'm hearing is that this siren that was going off is at the ball field and is primarily used as a lightning siren. But I'm hearing also that this is the first time that some people in Italy that have lived there all their lives have ever heard it. So I'm going to be looking into this to try to figure out what this siren is used for, what triggers it, what actually makes it go. But, I'm trying to figure out what exactly is going on there. And the meat of the confusion was that this was long after any kind of rotation moved out of Italy. And so it sounds to me like there were a bunch of sirens all going on at the same time from multiple things. And obviously this new siren. Now, the other thing I will mention, and I'm going to go down to Italy myself tomorrow or sometime soon to get a look at this thing. Because the other thing going on in Ellis County, and please understand that if I made you feel stupid, if I made you feel denigrated, I apologize. I want you to understand how seriously I take this. I come from a background of debilitating storm anxiety. So to me, I try to guard other people with storm anxiety from hearing false information that may scare them like it scared me. So if you feel like I denigrated you or called you a liar in any way, I apologize, but understand where I'm coming from, that I take this job as seriously as anybody possibly can. I come from a place where I lived that fear, and it ruined my life for a few years where I could not function as a human being. And now I'm using the knowledge and the strength and the communicating skills that I have to help other people. So understand this is a passion that I have, and I don't mean to denigrate anybody through this process. But I'm going to be going downtown because there are new sirens being installed throughout the county. This is a good thing. New sirens being installed throughout the county to help with getting these sirens out there, getting the word out there when severe weather strikes. If one of these was going on, and to update you in the Rice area, we're still watching this area of rotation. I don't have anything right now that has me too concerned. So I think we're looking at this storm having weakened significantly, at least in terms of rotation. May still be some, I'm definitely seeing possibly some hail over in the eastern side of Rice. So yeah, that's what we're looking at there. But there is a project to put more sirens, or at least to put new sirens across the county. It may have been one of those, but if that siren was going off, at the time it was going off, it was long after anything had happened. Now, my question is that siren still going on, or how long did that go? Let's see. Trying to get back on the comments here, and I know I caused a whole something storm. I won't say that word, but yeah. So Justin, yeah, that's what I'm hearing, is it was possibly a lightning siren. It's on a breaker, and people that turn the breaker off on exactly, then cut it. Okay, so it's not, so it's off now. So about 4 or 5 minutes it was on. So, so what I'm curious about is the new sirens are, I mean, you can tell they're new, right? It's white, and it essentially looks like a big bullhorn on a big pole. I mean, that's the way. It's not the yellow with all the, what looks like the little flutes on all sides. It's not one of those, and it's not one of the old yellow ones that oscillate, right? It's one of these newer ones. They're white. You can see the space, you can see the opening inside and that kind of thing. Really, it looks like a big mixing bowl on its side or something. But if it looks like that, then that could be what it is. It could be one of those newer ones. But again, I'm very curious to know how that's switched on or off, because normally in the Italy area, I would think that either Waxahachie or possibly the county would have jurisdiction over that. Only certain people are going to have access to these outdoor warning sirens. And so if it's just somebody that cuts on a breaker, I'm interested in knowing that. But now, I will say that if it is used as a lightning siren, I would want the public to be aware that there's a lightning siren that sounds like an outdoor warning siren. I mean, we have enough confusion as it is with these things. We have enough confusion going on as it is. This storm east of Rice, we just got an update on this, and there's hail falling in that area now. So yeah, so that's what I was thinking. Italy sirens are controlled at the sheriff's office in Waxahachie. So that's probably, again, emergency management, that kind of thing, that sort of thing. So they probably have control over that, but we will look into what was going on there, and we will definitely check on that, because that's a lot of confusion that we do not need. It helps me, number one, when there's more clarity. It helps me, number two, when I know that things are going to work right and that the public's reports are substantial. Now, I want to look at this again because we do have these brightening colors, and we're looking farther away from the radar now. This storm is moving away from the radar, and so we're looking higher up in the storm. But again, I'm just not seeing the kind of rotation that I'm really that concerned about. And so that's kind of what I'm watching. And Brittany, you're saying tornado sirens can get hacked. I seriously doubt it's a hack. I know everything's a hack now. People are blaming hacks for everything. Everything that happens is a hack now. I doubt that it's a hack that caused problems with that siren, because if so, there are multiple sirens on the same system that the Italy siren would be on, right? So if it was a hack, we would probably be hearing them going on and off all over the county, which would probably drive me into an early grave. But yeah, I definitely don't think that's what we're looking at. Okay, so Italy fire chief's husband commented, or somebody related to the Italy Fire Department, sirens malfunctioned. So that's what I'm hearing. Now, I still want to know, and the malfunction makes sense, I still want to know, is it an outdoor warning siren or is it a lightning siren? Because those are two very different things, two vastly different things. And if it's a lightning siren, why wasn't it going off a long time ago? And I don't know. There's so many questions that I want answered so that I can make sure that the folks in Italy and folks around there, when they hear about the siren going off, that they know how to react. I want to make sure that you know how to handle those things. That and I mean, we have enough confusion as it stands with these things, because there are a lot of communities that will sound those sirens for damaging hail, damaging winds, or tornadoes. There are some places that only sound them for tornadoes. How do you know which one? The public messaging is terrible. Most people don't know, especially when they're moving from place to place. They have no idea. And so one of my passions, and one of the things I'm going to be working diligently on this summer, is how do we get that streamlined? How do we make sure everybody everywhere knows what that sound means? Because if they hear it, they need to know what to do, especially if there's a tornado that's imminent. You need to know now. You need to know now what is going on. Okay. All right. So we'll investigate the Italy situation and look into that. But and Raymond Mosley. So and we'll look into that more. But the storm that we were concerned about east of Rice, let me tell you for one, that as far as our area is concerned, this is the 4-county area that we're in. This is the last storm that's really had me concerned. We have some heavy rain in the Hillsborough area, no severe storms though. This is the storm that we've been watching that really contributed to a lot of this confusion, because it was near 9:15 or so that we saw an uptick in circulation, and that tracked on eastward into northern Navarro County. That circulation deteriorated from that point, thankfully, and then we now see some small hail is still possible. I would even say probable in far northern Navarro County, moving towards Henderson County now, but that rotation that we did see has largely deteriorated. Now that I've made an idiot of myself and we can zoom out, I want to take a look west, because we do have more of this on the way. We're getting to that. We're getting to the next round of storms. So here near Gustine, there is one storm. So as that continues to move eastward, it looks like that storm has weakened quite a bit. Now this storm moving towards Waco, moving into McLennan County, I'm not at the moment seeing anything that has me too concerned. We can check velocity on that, see if we have any strong winds. It's way too far away from the radar though. Let me see if KGRK can give me a kind of, not really. So I can't really tell on velocity, but I'm not seeing anything that has me concerned, too concerned at least, about this storm going into McLennan County. Looks like more of a heavy rain event, possibly some small hail. And then this storm near Gustine, looks like that's on the weaker side as well. Now, if we look further out, and I want to switch this over to the MRMS, and back at Wichita Falls, there's been some mention of that. And so as we watch this, that's moving northeast. So we probably won't be too concerned with that. If we go out even further, in West Texas, there's not much going on there. The dry line out there is going to activate later tonight, and let's see if we can get another view of a model here. Let's check out the old HR model and see what that's doing. I don't know if that's going to be enough. So this is 1 a.m. The HR model showing most of this moving out, and then as we continue to watch, you're going to see more development here. Now, what's interesting is that the model has this developing much farther to the south. A few possibly developing in our area, but now the HR has this going much farther south, but it does have more developing closer to our area. So as we get to 5 a.m., 5, 6, 7 a.m., we still are expecting another round possibly of some storms. And so we have just, at this point, this storm continues to move eastward towards Gun Barrel City, moving out of our area. Everything that's left is just heavy rain here. We zoom in on Hillsborough. You could get some small hail out of that storm just briefly, but I don't think that's really, I don't think we really have anything beyond that. And then I'm trying to get this off the screen here so it's out of your way. So this little storm in Hillsborough, that's going to continue on towards Carl's Corner, Milford, Mertens. So as that continues to move that way, it could intensify over the next several minutes. I'll keep an eye on that. But the main storm that we were watching was this one right here. The rotation has subsided in that storm. It really has scaled down. Could still be some small hail in that one, but really it looks like it's losing a lot of the organization it had before. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up this live stream now. I will be back with the live stream early tomorrow morning to watch as that next round of storms comes through. Again, if there's any hurt feelings from the scuffle we had before, that whole confusion, it was a mess. I'm going to be working on getting clarification on that and make sure that everyone is educated as possible and that we have the best understanding of what to do when those sirens sound, whether it was a malfunction or whatever the case is, even so that we know what it is and can react accordingly. And if it's one of those new sirens, I would love the opportunity to educate you on that as well. Thank you so much for bearing with me through what was in multiple ways a chaotic stream. But thank you so much for the people that make this possible and that we continue to be able to do this work, that I continue to be able to do this work. I'm living a dream and I'm doing it my way. And so it's always a pleasure to be able to do this. Thank you so much again. Have a good night, and I will see you early tomorrow morning. Unless storms happen before then, which hopefully they don't.